After you have your drawing all sketched out and you have your backgrounds painted, it's time to move on to the assembly part. What I'd like you to do, we're going to do what's called a graphite transfer. Usually I have you transfer it to cardstock, but to save time, I'm going to have you transfer it directly to your painted figure paper. So what we want to do is start by taking a graphite pencil, and we're going to color behind our figure. You don't need to fill the whole paper, but just enough that we can use the graphite to transfer it to our final paper. So the next thing I'm going to look at is how I want to place my figure on here. I want my figure to be very close to the top. You might even place it off to the side, especially if you are wanting to use some of the extra paper over to the side. And I'm going to take and I'm going to trace over my pencil lines. And what's going to happen is as I'm applying pressure, the graphite underneath will press onto my painting. Now mine looks pretty dark because I've already done the transfer process once with my drawing. And when you do this, for the first time, you're able to see a difference in your lines where it gets darker. Now, if I pull back, I can see what all I've traced. If there's any place that I need to retrace, you want to make sure that you get everything traced first before you remove your paper, because it is too difficult to try and line this back up after you completely remove your figure paper. I peel it back, I look and see, I think that looks good. So now I'm ready to cut out my design. I find it easier just to work with scissors when I'm cutting. I'm going to take my time, go slowly. Sometimes I'll even cut more around the outside edge first and then come back into some of my smaller shapes. But you want to be very precise, take your time so that this is nice and neat. If in the end you want to add some details with Sharpie, a few details, you can do that. Or you can cut from another part of your paper, and I can show you what I mean by that here in just a minute. When you cut, make sure that you're always cutting away from yourself. Make sure if you need shortcuts, cut with more of the inside of the scissors, what you need. Alright, so there's my figure. And I can test it out on my background and see, do I like it more down here? Do I like it more here? I can think about placement. I can move it over to the side if I want to make it feel like it's changed from a different way. Now there are a few more things that my figure needs. So a few details I can add with Sharpie, but for like the shirt and the shorts, I'm actually going to copy those from different areas. So like right here, I can hold up my paper to the light, or I can move a little bit over to the side here, where I know I've got some space. Just there. Okay, so I think I've got enough space here that I can recopy. Okay, and then I can take and cut these out. So if you have additional details that you want, like if you are making a basketball net or a volleyball, or you want to have something cut out, another detail cut out, you can take and use your scrap paper that surrounds your figure and use that to create some additional details Okay, so once you have your figure all cut out, all the details ready to go, you're gonna lay it out on your final paper, how you wanna position it. This is a chance if you have some like scratches or things or marks, you could strategically place your figure and your details to kind of help hide any areas that you don't want to show, or you can even trim a little bit. So here I might even trim a little bit off and make this one a little bit narrower for my final. When I'm happy with it, I'm going to take the glue and very carefully apply a thin layer. Now if you decide instead of using your fingers to use a paintbrush to apply the glue, make sure that you wash the paintbrush out really well. Okay, once you have everything glued down onto your paper, if there's anything sticking up, you might add just a little more glue. Carefully press things down so that it stays. Careful that you don't have too much. Then you're going to flip your paper over. You're going to carefully go around the outside edge. Remember, leave a little gap in case you have too much glue. You can add a little bit of paint or glue in the middle, and then you're going to very carefully center it in the center of your matte paper, okay? And then in the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to take your white colored pencil and you're going to put your name and hour. In the bottom left corner, you're going to give it a title. So I'm going to call mine Momentum. And then you're going to photograph it and fill out your self-assessment and turn it in.